His fan's really loud in his office.
His only fan.
Roger, I might have seen you cutting your grass yesterday in the rain. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it was just beginning to sprinkle. Yeah, I managed to get enough of it done before it really started.
Aaron is going to be here. He's going to be here a little late, and Chris will not be here today, just so you know.
How about Dr. Whitfield?
I never know with Whitfield.
Have you done any more work on that piece, Caleb, that you showed last week? That was really good.
I have started working on. Which piece are you talking about?
It was an orchestral piece.
Yeah, I haven't really I haven't gone and edited anything from the first one, which I should need to go back and edit some stuff. But I started working on the next part of that. So I'm getting somewhere with it now.
Where are you presently, Caleb?
I'm in my dorm room. You look in the background, and
I recognize that fellow in the background.
Yeah. So I'm in my dorm room currently.
Bishop, I remember your piece was it was piano, and you had a melody that appeared in both the sections that you showed. That looked like it was going somewhere.
Oh, are you talking about the piano and bassoon one?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really touch that one because I decided to go back and um start rehashing out that uh that Minecraft piece that I had.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I finished it because I don't really think I want to change anything else. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
usually find if I play a piece and I can listen to it all the way through and nothing jumps out at me that I want to fix, then I consider it done.
Mind the camera? Cool. Your mic is on still. It's fine. We're good now.
Might as well turn your mic on, Carter, and yell really loud. I'm telling you, someone's got to make a great 2020 composition using Zoom feedback sounds. I mean, there isn't anything quite like it. Its feedback method is a little bit different because of all of the processing. If you guys watched that video Aaron showed about changing sound settings, there's a good bit to it. And I don't know, harness that sound, record it, do something with it, and you know, you might get in the textbooks when we're looking back 50 years for the pandemic year, and like they'll ask, what did composers do? And it's like, this is what they did.
Yeah.
Always looking for new toys to play with. What kind of sound does that thing make?
About one more minute, see if anyone else is going to hop in, and we can go ahead and start.
Are you still gavel-less?
I am, yeah. I haven't been able to meet up with Aaron quite yet.
Shaking my head. That article went out from that young lady who was asking about clubs and what we were doing for clubs. And I looked at it. My wife showed it to me, and it's on the newspaper thing now. They got a couple people to have quotes, all females, and I don't know if it has anything to do with gender. It probably doesn't, and I'm sure it's probably not even politically correct to talk about it. But a club with a bunch of dudes, probably not the first club that's going to be like quickly answering emails back. It's like, oh sure, I would like to get a quote. So no judgment whatsoever, but I'm almost certain that we didn't have any SCI response to that little Google questionnaire. And you know what? That's just about right for composers.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and start today's meeting. If anyone would like to go first. I have something that's starting out but not ready to be shown yet. But if anyone has something they find they would like to show.
I guess I'll show mine. Oh, I forgot how to do the audio again. Where do I go to share the audio? With like to make it the same as the computer audio?
But you have to do that before you share the screen.
Oh, okay.
Unshare that, and then when you share it, there's a box at the bottom that'll say share.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I'm sure everyone remembers this. There wasn't much I changed. I fixed this triple part because what I had was stupid, and it was all quarter note triplets, and it was really long and really weird to play. And the other thing I fixed was like measure 11 right here at this piano part, which is really boring. So I also just put some extra stuff in there. Yeah, with those triplets, I think I'm gonna change those notes because that was kind of. But that was actually Jaren's idea. Shout out to Jaren. Because we were showing each other what we had, and I just really didn't know what to do with this, and he suggested that I just do kind of something like this. And I was gonna put like a piano arpeggio at the end, but I actually just kind of like the bassoons at the end by themselves. So I think I'm just gonna leave that how it is. But all in all, besides like maybe fixing or doing something different with the triplets and maybe something else like around here, I think I'm done with it. Like it's finished.
And I know Dr. Moser mentioned it in your last piece, but maybe switching around inversions in the piano just so it fits the hands a little better moving through.
I got a question about the piano part, Bishop, especially the very beginning. So if you could like scroll to the beginning for me. Um, the chords are lovely. I have a question about the left hand. Sometimes quarter, 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 and then quarter rest, and then sometimes quarter, quarter, half note. I wonder if, well, I just wonder what your thought process was with that. If you would want the pianist to play this with employing the pedal at all? Like, would you want this? I mean, you said emotional at the top. When you wouldn't want this probably to be very dry, like Finale's playing it. I'm guessing you would want it to be a little bit more smooth. But the question, if I see that there, you're limiting what I can do with the pedal because you're asking me to make sure I'm holding my right hand beats 3 and 4, but my left hand's got to come off. Do you want that sound? This is the first time, I don't know why, but this is the first time that I really noticed it when I was listening, and I'm listening to Finale take that G natural off and still hold the notes in the right hand. And so, but then in measure 2, of course, you know, just holding it through beats 3 and 4. So just curious what was in your mind, if that's something that you would want me to hold out that G in the left hand, or do you really want it like it's written?
I guess when I first put it down, it was just the thought like like when that rest came up, it would just like take away that sound. It would just be these notes, and then, you know, like you were saying, like just take it away. So it'd just be the chord at the top.
Okay, so as written, and wanting that chord at the top just staying with no left hand. All right, that's a very interesting and interesting technique that we don't see a lot in piano writing, and it's very cool. So I mean, keep it. I think I wonder if the other pianist, Roger or Caleb or something, would chime in if you think that's a silly, but that is unfamiliar enough. That is a kind of rare enough that you might even want to put something on there that says like something like no pedal, because I think a pianist, especially a lazy pianist, and I'll put myself in that group often, I might just play this with the pedal, and beats 3 and 4 would just have that whole sound across it, not taking careful, careful attention to your left hand. I think Roger, as an organist, probably would be like, oh no, well, I totally do that all the time in organ playing, but pianists just don't do that much, which makes it very cool. I really like it. One more thing about the piano part, if you could go to the second page. There it is. Your measure looks like 13. I want to say that is the left hand D and then F, or G flat and then A. I think you probably just want to write an F sharp and stay in the feeling of D major here, and not have some strange, that's a Finale thing.
Yeah, I was just kind of placing notes to see what sounded fine, and was messing around with the sharps and flats to like get what I wanted. But yeah, I'll go back and fix that.
Dr. Moser, how do you feel about the notation in measure 12?
Well, I think, Bishop, at least 2 or 3 times we've talked about the beaming difficulties, and we keep talking about them, and they don't change. And so if you want to keep it that way, keep it that way. It is not beamed well, but there are other measures too, but we've talked about them all in the past. I'd be happy to talk about them again with you, or get someone else on this call to talk to you about them, so that when you do finish this and you have all the notes written, we're not talking about changing notes. We're just talking about changing the rhythms to where the rhythms look. We're not even talking about changing the rhythms, just making the rhythms look easier to read. That's all beaming is just make it easier to read. Finale, of course, doesn't care. But when you hand this to a bassoonist or you hand this to a pianist, there are certain conventions that we're used to, kind of like the G flat thing that I just mentioned, the next measure. I mean, that's going to sound right. It's just that the conventions would say that you would write an F sharp instead of a G flat, things like that. So, I mean, if you care, ask me about it or ask someone else about it. But since we've already talked about it multiple times, I don't know. I don't think we need to take time to do it again now.
I mean, to me, it's obvious what you want. I've just not ever seen any published notation like that. Yeah, and you're right. Finale doesn't care.
All right. Cool.
I have a piece
What's up, Corey?
ready to show.
What up?
All right. Got anyone who wants to go next? All right, Roger.
This is on a video because I don't seem to have luck with audio on Zoom. So this piece.
You're muted, Roger.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry, I closed the video, so I had to get it back. Okay, so I have three sections of this sort of started, and the very beginning there's like a Jimi Hendrix-esque little fragment of the national anthem that I don't know if I want to keep or not. My wife suggested it, and I threw it in there, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. But anyway, so I'll play this a section at a time, and just whatever your impressions, what you think it ought to do next, what would make it better. I'll have to say that you guys really did give me some great ideas that made the piece that I was working on last semester that I finished over the summer. I don't know if you watched the link that from our first meeting, but you guys really contributed to that piece, and I appreciate it. So here's this one. That's as far as I've gotten that section.
That's so awesome.
Really? I've heard it so much now, it's like, do I like this? I'm
And
sick of that
you
rhythm.
must have really put some time into making the video where we can see it. Man, I wish we could always do that because finale is so hard to see what's going on, but you made sure you cut into the right parts at the right time and like, oh, thanks for all the work that you even put in just so we could see it.
Well, thank you. I've done so much video editing, since the shutdown for the church that I kind of know what I'm doing with it now, but it took some time. Video
Roger.
editing is a different animal.
Hey, Roger, I have a question. How much do I have to pay you to finish that piece?
I am, well, thank you, but I've been working at this a little bit along for a couple of years now, but I'm really trying to put some intense effort to it. And this section of the symphony is supposed to represent basically what's happening now politically leading up to the election. And if I do a fifth movement, it's either going to be very happy or very sad, depending on how that comes out. But my original idea was this was going to be like sort of the battle. But I mean it.
What instrument would you, if this is performed in a perfect world, let's say this is performed this year or next year or something, what instrument would you want to play on it?
Oh, I would probably play piano. I mean, that's what I'm most comfortable with.
Okay, good. Dibs on the electric bass part.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It'd be really cool to play the B3. I haven't. Another thing that's different about this that I've never done is I wanted to write a piece of music that was written from scratch specifically for a progressive rock band and an orchestra, because everything that I've ever heard, even, you know, symphonic Floyd and even Dream Theater, I just don't think that music works well for the orchestra. And it goes the other way. A band, a rock band, can play an orchestra piece and have it work great. Check out Liquid Tension Experiment, which is basically Dream Theater. Liquid Tension Experiment's rendition of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. It's absolutely incredible. But I wanted to write something that would work really well both ways. And what I'm finding is the writing styles for what works well with one group of instruments and what works well in an orchestra setting, it really is kind of hard to get those together.
If I were more philosophically minded, I bet you there is some very deep truth that you've just hit on with rock musicians being better able to make musical sense of orchestral scores versus the other way around. I bet you there's some morsel of truth in there somewhere that probably doesn't shed a great light on we classical string players from the orchestra, frankly.
We'll say that about jazz musicians too, like that they're just better able to like pick up on stuff than like classical musicians because they're able to like feel rhythms better.
Exactly, same exact concept. I think you're right.
Well, with a band, you've got the textures of a bass and an electric guitar and the constant rhythm of the drums to carry you through sections that are basically just, we're going to hold this chord for a long time and play a melody over it, and then we're going to go to the next chord and hold that for a while and play a melody over it. And, you know, you put these long sustained chords in an orchestra and you realize it just doesn't work like that. There's got to be moving parts everywhere.
Right.
There's got to be something constantly going on. And you can't hold those chords. The music just has to progress more in a different way. So, I don't know. What did you think of this first part here? Is there anything that seemed like it could be done better? Should I play it again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You'll have to do something with that, with Linda's idea. If all it is the beginning of the Star Spangled Banner, and then nothing is returned to, I wonder about that myself. I mean, you'll have to do something with that. I don't exactly know what. Maybe some other lick from his rendition that you then splice him somewhere else in there, and a guitar. Like, I don't know. Well, what was her? I'm just curious what her idea was for putting that in there.
I think just for identifying it with America,
Okay.
because originally the piece just started out with a da 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 na 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 na, just that, which works. It completely works.
Yeah. And it does it. It does its job. So she's right about that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the lead, the modulation, the constant modulation up and up and up and up, that finally about measure 12 or 13 or something, you expect something enormous, and you have the strings come in with their little tremolos, and you have the electric bass. That part is awesome. Like, just the anticlimactic. I mean, it's not anticlimactic. It's just against expectations, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. That you built up this tension, expecting some huge thing, and then you do get it. You just get this, like, this underneath, like, great rhythm, way below strings tremolo. That's a great move. That's my favorite part of this little part of it that you showed.
Well, thank you.
But the next time you do it, you could do it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, something I was trying to take approach with this whole piece too is the way I think Mahler wrote. And I listen to Mahler Symphony, and I think, this guy never threw anything out. Any stupid idea he ever came up with, he kept it and used it. I mean, that's how you write 4-hour symphonies. So rather than, some of my initial, come up with something and think, oh, that's stupid, and just throw it out and go on. Well, maybe don't throw it out. Work with it a little bit.
Yeah, and Linda's idea, don't throw it out quite off the bat, and see if it works, to see if it evolves into something. Even now, when you were saying with Mahler, with this kind of like almost eclectic sense of writing, with he had all sorts of melodies going on all at the same time from all different walks of life, klezmer and classical and everything. It's like, intersperse this thing with little bits of Americana. You came right out and said it at the very beginning, but then all sorts of these little things in between, put it in, and these little hummable melodies, but kind of like how Mahler does it, where there's never a moment where you're like, oh wow, for 10 bars that was this particular melody, but it's always just little snatches of it, just little hints.
Yeah, little episodes. Let me see what's next here. I forgot what comes next. Okay, all right. So this section would be my I don't know, sort of an homage to Led Zeppelin. It's just something I came up with actually after our meeting last week. So let me just play this for you and see how it hits you. And I want that to actually go on more, but I was suddenly inspired to do this Pink Floydish thing, so I just went ahead and wrote it out. So that will go on and build into something, I don't know what, but it just seemed like it ought to come after the other thing. Yeah.
You got a moment there for the electric guitar to do some shredding.
Yeah. I don't know how many guitarists can play like that, but I've seen a few. But you know, with Led Zeppelin, like with Kashmir, they would set up this thing. And that's basically the whole song. You know, in a setting like that, that would be the whole song. But if you do that, you know, one with an orchestra, you don't have singing, so you don't have the lyrics to carry it. So suddenly I'm, you know, thinking of this like, okay, well, how do I progress it? How do I take it? How do I take it forward and not have it become boring? And
I'm also thinking about live or recorded. I mean, when you could record something and you then mix it, that's one thing. But when you're, I'm a classical musician that's thinking about this on a stage, and you've got violins, pits, viola arco, cello arco. I can do all that. But the moment that the electric guitar comes in, or the moment that the electric bass comes in, especially the electric guitar, like, what's the mix like? That's what I want to ask. Like, do I need to turn you down, turn you up? Like, how would you do that in real time? And you're sitting in the audience. Are you going to give like a thumb up or a thumb down? Certain moments of this, even earlier, you're probably going to have the electric guitar up to even hear it. And then here, it'd be like, well, you turn that baby down. I don't know. It's just interesting questions that would be so easy to mix, but not easy to do real time.
yeah, I think you're right. It would take some practice, some rehearsal live to get the balances right.
If you're looking for influence, you mentioned Led Zeppelin. I know you're a Dream Theater fan, but I really get Metropolis Part 2 vibes out of this. I don't know, maybe listen to the album some more and exploring how they use the orchestra ostinatos to transition from melodies. I don't know, that's just kind of the vibe I was getting from that. But I mean, I know you listen to them anyways, so.
Well, somewhat. I know that's one of their better albums, but I actually haven't listened to it much. So I should get that out. If this reminds you of it, I definitely should listen to it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album.
Metropolis Part 2. Okay. And I had one more little piece of this that I just wanted to run by you, and this is I wanted, since this is supposed to express, you know, like what's going on in America. I really thought, especially when George Floyd died, I thought I have to address this somehow. And this was just a little 7/4 arrangement of "I Want Jesus to Walk with Me," and maybe it's too happy, but this was just what I wrote in response to that incident. That's the end of it.
Yeah, I thought it sounded really cool. Like it sounded like really Latin and stuff, but like you said, it did seem a bit happy for like the death of George Floyd.
Yeah, yeah, but it is an African American spiritual, though, with very meaningful lyrics. I want Jesus to walk with me. So I don't know. Again, it was just, okay, I had this idea, so I wrote it out, and I've just got these pieces sitting here, and I don't know how they're all going to fit together yet.
Well, isn't that the problem with 2020 and fitting all these pieces together, not to get all political or deep again, but man, you know, so throw them together, Roger, in a big melting pot. And like, you know, a la Mahler in the 1900s when he was dealing with with anti-Semitism. You know, now we're dealing with all of the things we're dealing with. I mean, heck, isn't it just a mishmash of stressful anxiety out there anyway? And you throwing snatches of this stuff around into a big soup and putting a little salt and pepper on it and turning it on and be like, here, you know, I don't know. I think that says a lot about. That would be what 2020 sounds like to me. Certainly not some nice organized, you know, well-developed motive that we see progress through a 15-minute symphony. Oh no, little snatches here and there, but just my opinion. I love all of them, all three of the things you did, and I think they could all work together, even in a sporadic, multi-personality, schizophrenic type of way. You know, put them together, put them in the same movement, for goodness sakes.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I'm gonna turn it over to somebody else here.
All right, I think we got time for one more, maybe two if it's a shorter thing, but if anyone has something else. If not, I guess we could be done early, whatever is the case.
Well, I always have more to show. I've shown the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If no one else has anything else to show, then I always have more I can.
Might as well.
But always, I have like 2 more weeks of reserves and then I'm out. But
you need to get writing.
I do. I've been working on it, but it's been a busy week. Probably worked too much on it this week actually, because I had other things I had to get done that I didn't get done. But this is this is a piece that I've actually already shown Dr. Moser at one point. But it is my trying to find it. It's an experiment I did with 12th tone, and we learned about it in our piano literature class about making a matrix and all that stuff. And I came up with a 12th tone row that I really liked, so I turned it into a whole piece. So hopefully, I'll just play it and I'll talk about it afterwards. That'll probably work better. Okay. I'm sharing Peter's sound, I think. Okay. Ooh.
Caleb, are you speaking? Is anybody else not hearing him? Yeah, we know you're not muted, but we're not hearing you, so this is very strange. I can read your lips. You said okay. Can you speak ASL? Try to say something again.
You must have changed something in your audio settings, like selected an input that doesn't work.
Just unplug your headphones for a second and
Yeah,
see.
that might be a good idea. In the bottom left, there's that little up arrow. Push that and see what it says for your mic settings, and see if it's right next to mute.
Where it says select a microphone.
His name is not appearing on the screen either. I mean, it's
Oh,
very
it is on
faded. You
mine.
can see it,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's on mine.
oh, it's,
I don't know. I don't know, El Presidente. Make the call here with this noob.
Okay, are things working now at all?
Oh yeah, you're there. Oh my gosh.
So y'all can hear me.
Yes, what did we learn? What did you do so we all learn from it?
It just eventually came up onto my thing and decided it was a thing popped up and told me to type in my password, so I typed it in and it worked. I think Finale was open and it was ruining everything. I think that was part of the issue. So I guess I can try again. Let's see. Do I have, okay, that's right there. All right. Here goes nothing. In a second. Try sound, share. Okay, hopefully it'll work this time. Y'all still hear me? All is well? Okay, I'm gonna minimize it so it'll probably look all weird for half a second, but it should come back. This audio file takes forever to get started because it's a stupid audio file. Y'all can see the screen. that's it. I was very proud of myself because I made like my own whole 12-tone matrix and used all the things there. It's totally different from anything I've ever written before, but it was fun, and I was trying to do really. I bought a book by Rimsky-Korsakov on orchestration, and I was trying to be smarter about orchestrating things instead of just thinking, okay, well, this part can have this voice because this voice has to happen at this point. I'm trying to think of really trying to pair instruments together the right way, or I guess not the right way, but a way that's more accurately portrayed what I was trying to say. So that was kind of my big thing with this piece.
I have a question for you. One of the problems that composers have to deal with in 12-tone pieces is just notation, like when to call it a C sharp, when to call it a D flat. How did you make those decisions?
Well, a lot of the things are very, it's 12, it's still a 12-tone row, but it's very much meant to imply harmonies and stuff. So, and I'm specifically thinking of intervals when I jump places. So I try to stay consistent with those intervals. Like if you look at the trumpet part there, the going up a minor seventh, down a half step, down a major third.
There's a place for us.
Yeah, that's what I thought too when I heard it.
I told him to rename this. There's a place for us. He was like, "What's that song? What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, dang it!" And ding dang doodle. When you did you go and listen to Burnside's thing? Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
Somewhere is that?
I did listen to it. Actually, I actually watched it for the first time recently. So now it's it's whatever. It was totally innocent. Had no idea.
And even if it weren't, it's fine.
But yeah, so that's the gist of that, and this just trying to get the intervals and then just thinking about what would be the easiest to look at here. It's kind of what it came down to most of the time. Like if I was reading this, would I want to read this as a C sharp or a D flat or whatever?
Right. Sometimes though, you'll find yourself between a rock and a hard place. The C sharp works coming into it, but the D flat would work getting out of it, and you just gotta make a decision and live with it. There's no right answer sometimes.
I really liked your changes in instrument groups, textures, and just the feel of the music. It never got boring. It always changed to something else, just right when you felt like it ought to.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice to hear. It's kind of what I was trying to go for. I don't know if that. I still don't know how I feel about the ending, but not the piano stuff, but the stuff right before the piano stuff. The big brass and whatever it is.
Well, I know we talked a little bit about it when we were chatting about this piece, but is it the ending? Like, I mean, it really kind of matters if this is the beginning of something larger or if this is the thing and it ends how this ends and this is it, and then you stand up and take a bow. Is this over?
Well, my thoughts currently are I wouldn't be opposed to writing something else with it, but I never just kind of I was bored one day, so I wrote down I was playing around with the piano stuff, and I wrote down a 12-tone row that kind of went with the piano stuff, and then I started just kind of stuck with me, and I knew it wasn't going to leave me until I actually wrote something down. That's kind of how most of my music is. It's just, just ends up being stuck with me after a while. But it's I don't have any plans to do anything after this though.
Caleb, what was the motivation, or I guess that's the best word, I don't know, for the 8/2 time? I mean, like, that's something that's pretty rare, I think. Why not just 2 4/2s? What was your thinking there?
I think it was that I wanted those, especially in the long notes up top. I wanted those 3 notes to be in one measure. It's kind of my thoughts. And I wanted it to. I just felt like it was the best way to write down what I was trying to say with it, saying that, in a sense, like this 4/2 measure is an idea, and the 6/2 measure is an idea, this 8/2 is an idea, and so forth. It's kind of the reason I chose to do it that way. Well, obviously, in the other voices, some ideas are bleeding over into other measures. I kind of just based it off the one voice. That was my thought with it. Also, I chose to do it in 2 because I wanted to write brevs that looked like that, but they look very cool. However, the bass drum part, I think it's bass drum, what it is, it would not, for the life of me, look right. I don't know what the deal is, but it looks like that, and I don't like the way that one looks as good.
You need to make in your score manager the percussion part a 5-staff thing. You can fix that in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 staff. That was confusing me. I spent way too much time trying to figure out how to get the bass drum notes to look that way.
If you want to leave, I mean, that's like for modern notation, like especially in wind band, but if you want to leave it like the single line, like some of the like older orchestra music does look for percussion, you can go into the assignment of the percussion line, and you can move the bass drum to be right there. So you can move where the drum is if you want to use a single line staff instead of a 5-line staff.
Okay.
Other way, it'll fix it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the bass drum and it's the cymbals and snare drum, I'm realizing now. Also, that tremolo's all over that note. I need to fix that too. But it's whatever. Cool. I guess I'll go ahead and stop sharing since we're almost out of time. But cool notes.
I will say, you had a reason for doing that 8/2, and that's all you need. I mean, if somebody says, well, I don't know, I just thought it was cool, that's not a good reason. But you had a good explanation for it, so that's good.
Caleb, I know we mentioned it before, but before you X out, I think you harnessed a lot of the 12-tone style in your first attempt of some of the interesting things you can do with it that you don't usually get a chance to do. And of course, it pleases me for you to be already looking at Rimsky, something you'll probably look at in orchestration anyway. But my suggestion about not using all 12 pitches all the time whenever you present a row, that still applies. And just staring at what I'm looking at now, and I can see every line, and I can count to 12 and before up top too. Doesn't make it wrong to do that, but there's nothing inherently sacred about the number 12 in every melody of a 12-tone piece. And you can bounce it around. And I think the next time that you dabble into 12-tone, remembering that when you're in the middle of some row that you don't have to finish it in that melody, and melodies can be 5-note long or 6-note or even 13 if you want to, it's okay. That might help free up a little bit of the sectionality. It kind of feels a little bit like section here and then a section there, and I can almost see your brain saying, okay, here I'm going to do these rows, and now here I'm going to do this row, and here I'm going to do this row. And if you listen to Schoenberg's 12-tone stuff, or even Webern and Berg, but especially Berg, but when we get to it in history, you can't do that by hearing. you might be able to do with you get a matrix out and you do one and you really do an analysis, which you probably have to do for Dr. Whitfield's class. But then they don't usually line up. I mean, it's like you have to really get in there and dig. And even orally, you can kind of tell. And so I just keep that in mind for future 12-tone writing.
I did a 12-tone piece when I was a freshman, right out of high school, and I did what you said. Your note groupings at the beginning were supposed to sort of suggest chords or progression. That was how you landed on your accidentals spelling. I sort of did the same thing with that and broke it into sections that sort of represented either a melody or a chord progression, and repeated chunks of it in different ways like that. Use an inversion for a melody and a fragment of it for the chord progression. It was just, I don't know, it was just ways to not use 12 notes, 12 notes, 12 notes. But if that's what you did, you landed on a piece that works. So, well, just something to keep in mind for next time.
Yep. Well, I'll go ahead and mute myself.
Thank you, Caleb. All right, I think that'll wrap things up for today. Thank you guys for coming.
See y'all.
All right.